Warning: this show may contain coarse language, awkward silences, incoherent thoughts, inside jokes, misinformation, deep conversations about the nature of existence, depressing themes, as well as some light, offensive humor. Hey, we're people in our early 20s, what do you expect? If any of that bothers you, I don't know, just cover your ears. Anyway, enjoy the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 8 Days a Year, the only show where a few mates come together every year to record a year's worth of podcasts in the span of 8 days and then slowly upload an episode every week for the following year. It is currently 9:37 p.m. On the 1st of December 2020. So it's still on the same day, but this is going to be our last episode.
Of this day. Not in total.
Of this day.
Finally get a break. Oh my god.
But you all are probably hearing it on the 12th of February. My name's Jason.
And I'm Brandon.
And on today's episode, we're going to be celebrating or observing Chinese New Year's, that is today, and also the up-and-coming Valentines Day. And also Singles Awareness Day, which is the day after.
Yeah, we have a lot of holidays to do this week. Also, 新年快乐 and 恭喜发财 to all of those listening that actually speak Chinese.
Not me.
This is really interesting because I am Chinese and I come from like a Chinese background, and Chinese New Year has always been my favorite holiday ever since I was a kid. Yeah. Especially in Brunei. In Perth, it's a little different because I'm not entirely sure why, like, what brought about this difference between the two Chinese diaspora within Perth and Brunei. But the way they celebrate Chinese New Year, although they have like the same like cultural mentalities or whatever, is really different. Like insanely different. So basically in Brunei, you would have these things called open houses, right? And in these open houses, you would literally just invite like all your family, friends, and whatever. They'd come over, they'd eat, like, you'd have like catering out and everything like that. And you'd pay for like a lion dance team to like go into your house, and essentially what it does is like the lion like goes into every single room of the house, even the bathroom, and like essentially brings good fortune and good luck to the house. And it's really fun, honestly. Like ever since I was a kid, I've always loved it. And obviously there is the notion of like, well, there's this thing that we do where like all of the married people like give these red packets, which we call hongbao, to the kids, right? Or like people that aren't married. And it's really cool. The idea behind it is that you're giving to those that kind of need a little bit of like a head start in life. You know what I mean? You're giving to the younger generation to give them that foundation to grow and become like the same level of success as you. You're sort of like giving them like a foundation to grow, essentially, right?
Right.
And it's a really good concept, and I it kind of I don't know, it's kind of like how Centrelink here in Australia gives money to those that kind of are struggling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, I mean, sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, basically that's pretty much the mentality of it. But it's really funny how a lot of Chinese culture actually does revolve around money. So the phrase 恭喜发财, it's this phrase that we use like whenever we greet people for Chinese New Year, like, oh, 恭喜发财, 恭喜发财. And then like you know, for me, right, like I'm not married, so like I would say, oh, 恭喜发财, and then like my auntie or uncle would be like, oh, 恭喜发财, and then they'd give me like a red packet, like a red envelope. And then what it literally means, the direct translation of 恭喜发财 to English literally means hope you get rich. And that's how we greet each other on Chinese New Year.
Hope you get rich, mate.
Yeah. Literally. And it's great. It's awesome. Or is it? I don't know.
It's very money centric.
It's very money centric.
Hope you get rich, dude, because that will bring you happiness in life.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's just a little insight into Chinese New Year and like the festivities behind it. Unfortunately, here in Perth, we don't really have open houses here, which is why I always go back to Brunei for Chinese New Year, because it's just so much better there. I'm not even sure if they actually do open houses in China or like other like countries other than Brunei. Oh, I think they probably do in Malaysia, like the Chinese diaspora in Malaysia probably do them. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting how like yeah, the Bruneian Chinese people adopt that I don't know what to call it, maybe a ritual. It's not a ritual, it's like a custom maybe.
Yeah,
they adopt those customs that other Chinese diaspora don't. I think I need to look into that a bit because it is quite interesting. Over here it's Chinese New Year is pretty lame in Perth. I'm not gonna lie.
What's the difference?
Like
just people just give you red envelopes.
Just pretty much. It's just red envelopes and like the occasional lion dance in like a restaurant or something like that. Like just random lion dances in restaurants. But like in Brunei there are like open houses, there are like parties even, you know, and like you drink and you gamble. Oh my god, this sounds so bad. I was gambling at like 12 years old.
Sounds lit, dude.
But it was fun. It was really fun. And definitely recommend if you ever want to celebrate Chinese New Year the best way possible. I suggest go to Brunei or Malaysia. Either one. They do open houses and it's lit.
Fair enough, dude.
Yeah.
I had no idea about any of that.
Yeah, no,
I think
it's cool.
I knew about red envelope and that was about it.
Yeah.
You get money. I don't know. But that's as far as it went. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Oh, man.
I don't celebrate that at all.
I think it's probably the only part of my culture that I'm really like in tune with, I think. But yeah. Is there anything like I know for Filipinos, like you guys do like a lot of stuff centered around like the Christian holidays, like Easter and Christmas and things like that?
I have no idea. I think like I honestly don't know much about Filipino tradition, to be honest. But
really?
I know that there's a large amount of Filipino like they practice Catholicism, being Catholic and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I know.
Cool. Fair enough.
Like I don't know. It's this part of me that wants to be more like I know I'm like halfway in between like sort of Australian and Filipino, but I just kind of like want to lean towards Australian, being in this country and like celebrating this kind of culture and rituals here.
Right.
And I sort of, and I don't think I don't find it that sad for me, but I just like sort of distance myself from the Filipino part of myself, I guess, because I like there's a lot of sort of pain and anxiety that came from those kind of
Right.
belief systems and like the way that I was treated.
Which we did go in the last week's podcast. So if you haven't heard that, go listen to that right now and then come back.
And so that's why I've sort of distanced myself from it, and like, yeah, like I don't necessarily connect with my family back in the Philippines, but like the cousins and the cousins that I have here, I do connect with, like, and in that way, and they're like half Australian.
Yeah.
But so I don't necessarily relate or like have the same kind of urge to like go back to my roots and like explore those sides of me.
Yeah.
Because and I've also went to the Philippines and whatnot. And I went around to where my parents lived and whatnot. And no offense, but they lived in pretty crappy conditions. And I'm like, that's not my fault. I'm too used to Australian culture,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think there comes a point in everyone's life where they do get kind of curious and that kind of stuff. And, you know, for me, it was like, I think when it's really strange that I made this connection, but I watched this documentary that's called Roots, right?
Yeah.
It's not a documentary. It's like it's a series, and it's a story about the slave trade in America.
Yeah.
And it's a story about how like this guy called Kunta Kinte was he was like, I think he was like the son of like the leader of his village or something like that. And then he got captured and then sold as a slave like in America. And the whole thing is about like him and his descendants and how they try their best to maintain their culture even in a society where that's not facilitated, and in fact actively sort of frowned upon, or like tried to, you know, just not facilitated in general.
Yeah.
And it sucks because every single generation just gets further and further removed from their roots, and they all like have this part of them that's just like there's something missing, you know, and like they don't know where exactly they came from.
Right.
And it's just like, for me, after watching that, I was like, oh God, like I like teared up so hard, and like I just was like kind of low-key disappointed in myself that I let myself almost like not value my roots a bit more, and sort of like given into this dominant westernized culture. Although large majority of it isn't necessarily my fault. I mean, it's kind of the way I grew up, right?
Right.
You know, with my parents not really teaching me Chinese, like it was kind of a given that I would be more westernized as I grew up. But now I kind of have, like, as an adult, I have this choice, right? Like I can choose to explore that for myself. And it's been a very satisfying and rewarding journey, if I'm being completely honest. Like I feel happier about myself knowing that I'm a part of this culture that's beyond just myself.
Right.
And we can get a bit more into that later on, but like it did give me a sense of belonging, and it gave me a sense of like I know who I am, and I know where I came from, you know.
Right.
And I feel I don't know, less confused about my own identity because I'm actually exploring that part of myself that I sort of neglected throughout my life.
Right.
So yeah, I think everyone will kind of go through that at some point, and maybe right now is just kind of not the time for you because I don't know, I'm not you, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. That was just my journey with that whole thing.
Fair enough, dude.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, I get that. I
Mm.
get that. I don't know. I do. I think you talked about this last episode, and it's like it's gonna be weird because like it's been a week since then.
Yeah.
But that notion of like the leaning into like individuality and like and that
Mm-hmm.
and like I think it's because like I grew up very like in a sort of crowded kind of home or whatever, and where my parents always on my back and like never
Yeah,
leave me
yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
It's like I kind of just want to, like right now at least, I just want to separate myself from that and just figure out what I want to do and what I am. And I'm slowly doing that. I'm doing that.
And you know what? Now that I think about it, that did like so much for me when I was like living on my own. I think that's when I like discovered the most about myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I highly recommend doing it if you get the chance.
Yeah. And it's still like I'm still sort of conjoined with, my family and all that.
Yeah.
And like my parents still, because I still live with them. But like, yeah, I sort of want to explore my own identity. Like I've explained this a little bit before. Like it's separation from them and anything else. And I'm sort of a creative person, right? I sort of want to form my own sort of way in the world, and my own path and my own identity. And like that, I know it's like it's like sort of like different to the notion of like connecting with your roots, but it's like sort of trying to figure out what I am beyond that, and like the amount of potential that there is there, that I could be this beautiful thing without necessarily having to, like be like attributed to some sort of other like community or fucking what is it? Culture.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to be my sort of separate individual thing. But that's not to say that I don't value the notion of community and the people around me, because I do very much believe in that. It's just that, just like there's sort of this weird, like a weird kind of dislike about the notion of like being attributed to my cultural background in a way. And I'm not saying that anyone's less or more than anyone, but it feels like and obviously it's not the case per se, but it feels like certain parts of my culture and background sort of are like they held me back in a way, or they make me feel like they're kind of the stuff that are kind of it led to me being more of an outsider, and like being like here's what I'll say, like at least in this culture and like in this westernized culture, the notions of a Filipino guy being this a sort of being seen as this sort of this is a specific example, but like a romantic kind of prospect at all, and like the representations in media and things like that, and wherever, and we just like we're not very commonly seen in anything.
Yeah.
Then like it kind of made me feel like and I know it's obviously not the case, but it made me feel like nobody can even see me as like a romantic option or whatever. I'm just some weird wacky guy who's like this wacky, really different kind of culture and like background and race that like they don't really have a reference for and can't really attach any romantic kind of feelings immediately for. And like I feel like, and this is really deep, it's really specific, and it's really kind of a flawed way of thinking, but it's like like it feels like sometimes that kind of part of my culture and race or whatever holds me back in that regard. And I like, obviously it's like a dumb thought in my head, and I obviously talk myself out of it because it's not necessarily true. It's like, but when you live 20 years and you're like, what? Like, and like, I'm not really like this now, but when you're like, you're looking for an explanation why no one fucking wants to date you or love you.
Oh my God.
It's like,
this goes back into Valentine's Day and Single Awareness Day, right?
Yeah. Then you're just like, fuck.
It's
like,
easy to blame something.
It's easy to blame something like that. Exactly. And I know that that's what my brain was doing when I thought about stuff like that, but it's like, and that's not, I don't know. It's like, it goes back to like the kind of customs and rituals of like parenting and whatnot that really kind of sort of messed me up. It's just like, I really kind of disliked like my culture altogether. I guess.
It's understandable. Not like, you know, I'm not saying that the way you're thinking is wrong. It's just a different way of thinking. And this is just the way I think, right? And, you know, everyone goes about their life differently. And that's okay. You know, we're all flawed human beings. You know?
Figuring it out.
We're all figuring it out for ourselves. And that is the beauty of life, right? Like, we're all on this journey together. And, you know, if there's anything about this podcast that I'd like to share with the world, at least it's that just that notion that like we're all experiencing this common human experience of just suffering in our own little way. And being able to share my own suffering in my own little way, and being okay with it, and learning how to even appreciate it, you know, appreciate my suffering, and just say like, yeah, it's made me into the person that I am today, and I'm super happy about that. Like, it's, I don't know, there's something about that I want to share with the world. Maybe that's super egotistical of me or whatever, but fuck it, dude. Like, this is our podcast. We do what we want. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Anyways, like, to segue from that into Valentine's Day and things like that. So we were talking in the last podcast about religion and how that sort of used to, you know, for humans, like, it used to be the source of like companionship and, you know, support that we now kind of put on our partners, right? Or on our relationships, particularly our romantic relationships. And it's very interesting that, you know, our society nowadays kind of puts so much emphasis on the romantic relationship. Like, the romantic relationship is the end goal. Like, once you're there, dude, you did it. You
succeeded life, dude.
Yup, pretty much.
Now all you have to do is procreate, make more people to seek romantic relationships. Exactly. Let's go, dude.
That is pretty much what our society kind of tries to get us to do. And it's it's not that great putting that much pressure on your partner. It's it's not healthy. I think, in a relationship, you should have your own level of individuality there, and you should have your own communities that you can belong to outside of the relationship,
Right.
And in doing so, when you do that, you find that the relationship becomes more healthy.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer relying on each other for all of these things that you can't actually do for one another, like all the time.
There you
what
go,
I mean?
dude. Because then they'll just become exhausting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But just a disclaimer, we're not experts here. If you're actually going through like relationship problems, definitely go go to like a local counselor or something about like to talk to you about that. Like, this is purely experiential. Like, so yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, in my experience, having your own support system outside of the relationship, whether that be friends, your club, or whatever community you may belong to, your family,
Yeah.
like having that support system is super important because it just puts less pressure on your partner to fulfill all of those things that realistically they won't be able to.
Yeah.
And beyond that, psychologically, it actually kind of makes you more attractive.
What?
And the reason for that is because your partner. So in a relationship, there's like this dynamic where, you're constantly trying to control the other person. And I know that sounds really shitty and manipulative or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's true. Like in relationships, typically, there is this sort of control dynamic, and
Right.
you're constantly trying to seek that control of the other person. And the more you can't get that, the more attractive the other person seems, because they are not controllable by you. So therefore, you have to put an extra effort to make them like you back and, do things for you and things like that.
Yeah.
And that psychologically makes you more attracted to them. And that goes the other way around as well. And when I heard about this, I found that so interesting because I realized why, like, in some past relationships of mine, like, I lost attraction to the other person. And it was because they literally were, like, all over me and, like, gave me, like, everything and didn't have any, like, self-worth or anything like that. Didn't have any, like, support system. They were relying on me for everything.
Right.
And one, it got tiring. And two, I just lost like attraction to that person because they were just so like needy about everything, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was super interesting, and I thought it was super relatable. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. It's like that notion that you're saying about like the replacement of relationship of like religion and community has been like put upon one particular person.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah.
But like, where did you get the idea from, dude?
It's a very abstract notion, I know, but I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and also in the School of Life.
Right.
There is like some reference to this as well.
I think I might have not gotten up to that yet. But
yeah.
what I think about is like, I think there's a lot of truth in that, I think. And man, I think that I have been duped in a sort of way by society.
Yep.
And it's a construct.
Society is a construct.
And how like
that is, by the way, just to stop you there for a second, that is Jason's catchphrase. Society is a construct. Fucking hell. Anyways, go on.
But but it is, dude. And so like I think that I definitely like I feel like I definitely saw it that way. I don't think I would be as needy in a relationship. I don't think. Because I can work. I can sort of manage on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I get what you mean. Like when I pictured what a relationship might be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you kind of like sort of all over each other, like where you go, you share everything about yourself and you work together on the different issues that you have.
Mm.
But I can understand that that notion of like it can be overwhelming and exhausting for one person to do that, and like spreading that to a community and a group of people is like way better. I get that. I just like, but obviously you need to like save some of that for a partner, right?
This is where like you need sort of like the balance,
Like
between,
moderation.
yeah, all that stuff. I think with everything in life there needs to be a balance, even with self-improvement,
Right.
You know, like you have to have that balance of, okay, you want to get better, you want to achieve your goals, you want to, you know, build character traits that will allow you to do that, but at the same time, don't overwork yourself, you know, practice self-love and realize that
Self-care.
and self-care and just like kind of
I love self-care. I do a lot of that.
and just kind of you know, learn to appreciate and accept how far you've come, you know, and yeah, like that goes with relationships as well. Geez, I sound like an actual therapist right now. But like yeah, I feel like that's just how it's been and how like what's worked for me and the things that I've observed and learned through my experience as well. I don't know. Like, what do you think about that?
I'm not sure, man. Like, man, I don't know. I think, like, here's something. Like, I always, my idea of like community hasn't been like church or like things like that, or maybe possibly clubs or anything. It's like or maybe clubs, but like that idea of a community sort of thing has always stemmed around this idea of like a group of like really good friends. And I always loved that notion of like,
I mean, that's what we have created with the LBJ, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But a little bit more than just 3 people.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Because like,
people. Fair enough.
Like I had this really cool group. We weren't necessarily deep all the time, but it would be nice to. But like there was like a group of like 5 of us guys that sit at a table in high school, and we just every day would just sit at that table, and like I picked up notions of like when I was really young, I watched Friends and Community.
Yep.
And that's just like something about that is just really cool to me, about like coming back to not the same, like, because you obviously want to grow or whatever, but like the same actual people around you that can always have your back and whatnot. And I think I've found it with you 3. You 2. And sorry,
there's a third one. Oh shit!
And I think that
I didn't know about
like
that.
despite like how different we might be.
Oh, we are very different from one another.
Very different. That's the facts guide. Liam's the fucking doesn't want to be. And I'm the weird, wacky, crazy, creative type.
Oh man.
But it's great.
No, it's awesome.
great.
We have such a great dynamic, honestly.
And it's great to just have this group of friends that just like to come back to, be open with.
Right.
I always just have each other's back, dude.
For sure. Yeah.
It's great, dude. We need 3 girls. And then it's fucking friends. It's
literally friends. And we'll date each other. Like the 6 of us. All 6 of us will just be dating each other. Particularly me and Liam, though.
You guys need to be a thing.
Shout out to Liam. When you watch this podcast, I'm single.
What's the ship name, dude? Liamden? Liamden?
Bliam?
Briam.
Branham.
Randium.
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 All right, well, you guys, whoever's listening to this,
We gotta recruit the 3 girls you got scheduled for the podcast, dude.
God, that would be actually. There's 4. No,
4.
yeah, 4 in total. 4 in total. Yeah, I think but I don't. Dude, that would be weird.
Why not, dude?
No,
Like,
is it like? Oh, right, yeah.
Like,
fair enough,
we
fair
need
enough.
more people in our crew, dude. In our LBJ crew.
But then it won't be the LBJ. Then it'll be the LB.
We'll still
whatever.
call it LBJ.
Okay.
Because men are superior. Joking.
Shout out to my homies who read the Bible. Men are superior. Oh God. No.
Oh, that was from the previous episode.
That was from the previous episode, dude. Oh God.
So we just said that men are superior with no context, dude.
No, dude. Oh, we are gonna get so much flack for this shit.
We're joking, dude. We are joking.
We're joking. We don't actually believe that. That is terrible. If you believe that, you're a terrible human being. Like me. Okay.
Men are trash.
Men are trash. Actually, that is like the.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I have like a hair in my mouth. But like, that is like the classic soy boy mentality. Just men are so bad.
And it's so weird because you're a man yourself when you say that.
I know. No, that's the thing, right? It was like, what was it? Like male feminism? Like, oh no, male feminist? Like, that's what a soy boy is, right?
Yeah.
A guy that's just like, yeah, men are so shit. Like, I'm not like other men. I am cool with my femininity. Ooh. I mean, like, fair enough, man. Like, we're all on a spectrum of masculine and feminine. I get that. But if you completely neglect your masculine side, like, I don't know,
hate on it and shit on it.
I don't know. You know, there is this notion of like toxic masculinity and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like where it's like, you know, where guys are kind of scared to even enact the slightest bit of feminine quality, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it be talking about emotions or just like, I don't know. I think talking about emotions is probably the biggest one out of all of them. Because it's just kind of it's a very vulnerable thing to do. And I think a lot of men do kind of struggle with that because our society does kind of push people in that direction. But, you know, it doesn't need to be that way, right? Like, you know, I think, I'd like to think at least, that I've maintained my masculinity despite being open about my emotions.
Yeah. For audio listeners, I was just shaking my head.
But
I'm kidding.
But yeah. What was I gonna say? But yeah, like, you know, in a safe space, I think it's good. It's good. As long as you don't, like, I don't know, take it too far and sort of, I don't know, become like a pussy and like have no resilience for anything in life, then maybe you should work on having a bit more resilience. I don't know. But no, it's definitely useful to at least understand your emotions and try to learn about them and try to have I don't know, a better emotional intelligence.
Right.
You know,
I don't know the stats on it, but isn't there like higher rates of like depression and stuff with
suicide amongst men?
Amongst men?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not entirely sure as to what the stats are either.
I don't know the stats.
But it's definitely higher for men, yeah.
I heard it somewhere.
I heard it from somewhere as well.
Like,
shit.
We don't know anything.
Yeah, we're not experts. Take everything we say with a grain of salt.
That's our catchphrase. We're not experts.
Yup, pretty much. Just couple of young
the motto,
uni students.
Everything with a grain of salt.
Yep. Just a couple of young uni students who don't know shit but talk about everything as if they do. That's us, dude.
Probably come off as really obnoxious. It's great, dude.
Oh man.
But at least we make an effort, you know?
Yeah.
We try to. And it's like, I think it's beneficial to understand yourself in that way. Otherwise, like, you let your sort of emotions and stuff like control you, and like deep-seated issues like control the way you are without knowledge, like just like unconsciously affecting you
Yeah.
and making you be toxic and shit,
Yeah.
and like actively trying to understand those parts of yourself is really important for like self-improvement, but also like just like understanding yourself, man. And just
Yeah.
like being just a better person to other people. which reminds me, dude, I
Yep.
think we touched upon it last episode,
What,
but like
what was it?
I record myself.
Yes.
And it's got to come off as weirdly self-righteous to be praising this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not trying to.
No, I think it's great. It's a great way to.
It's a form of journaling.
Yeah,
is what it is.
No, it's a great way to put like, I don't know, like your thoughts somewhere,
right?
You know, and you're not kind of just keeping them to yourself. Like everyone does that in different ways. Like I journal personally, but you know, you can.
So
record yourself
it
talking.
came from
That's
a rough
chill.
experience, like a rough time in my life when I started doing this. So I sort of, you know, when I, you know, if you sort of, I was sort of skeptical and cynical about it, but if you sort of believe the kind of narrative of Christianity,
Yeah.
like I think there's like a verse somewhere, or like I heard it in a sermon somewhere,
Right.
where like on Judgment Day or some crap like that, and this is really going like to the end of life stuff, or like when you die, and like what happens is God and like sort of like everyone in existence sort of watches back on your life and just watches everything you do, every thought you've had, everything. And I just thought, my life is kind of like a movie. Someone's watching it. And like, why don't I do something crazy like monologue to the audience?
Right.
Like a fucking theater play.
Okay.
And so I sort of talked as if I was monologuing to people about what my thoughts were, and being like, so this is what I'm thinking about right now, kind of thing. Obviously, I sort of knew under those circumstances or the logic behind it that they could read my thoughts. But like, that's that weird kind of way I was thinking about it. And I'm like, why not just talk about it? Since it was late at night or whatever, and like I've not really got anyone to talk to, and I was high school, whatever. And I was feeling shitty and I couldn't sleep. Why not talk about it? And so I talked about it to no one, but as if someone was listening. And what I found was that, you know, as I went on, and like I sort of listened to podcasts and heard about stuff like therapy and whatnot, how that can be really helpful for you. I sort of found out that like some notions of therapy, like some benefits of therapy or whatever, has been that like what people explain, that you sort of get, instead of having all these emotions and thoughts that run through your head, I've explained this to you many times before, these thoughts and emotions that just run through your head and run past and like sort of affect you subconsciously or whatever. And like just you have hundreds and like thousands of thoughts a day or whatever. Instead of letting those like, and I explained a little bit before, instead of letting those emotions and stuff control you and like guide your actions or whatever, then instead you can like, instead of like just thinking about things and just leaving it in your head and sort of thinking about it, when you the act of saying it out loud, or even like writing it, the act of saying it out loud and formulating them into a structure of words and sentences in the form and the medium of like, you know, human communication and like forming it out like that, you sort of, your brain sort of processes it, you know? It processes all those abstract, crazy, wacky, bzz thoughts that is happening in your head. And you actively kind of sort of understand, and you not only just let a random thought fly by or think about it, you get that thought and you you open it up and elaborate and explore what that is, where it comes from, where it started from, and all these things, and like what this kind of thought and way of thinking kind of means going into the future, and whether that will benefit you or not.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that's
for
really
sure.
helpful. And especially, and I'm not saying that this is the best way to go about it, but it's really helped me in a lot of ways, being more thoughtful about my thoughts and emotions.
This is us like 7 hours into like podcast, like fucking, oh my God.
But obviously there's some flaw to it in a way, because there's
Right.
still things that are unconscious, and the only way to get them out, and I think it's still an important notion, is that you need other people, LBJ, and also
Up top,
stuff
dude.
like, like therapy and stuff. When people
Oh, so shit. All right, there we go.
like therapy and psychologists and whatnot, who, like, if you don't have the capacity, you don't have that trained in you to like open up thoughts and
Right.
like not only look at it, but then you might, and they talk about it in the School of Life, right? When you
Yeah.
like an active listening,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Active listening. And when like you're talking with people and it's active listening, then you're listening to what they say, and perhaps they brush over something that is interesting and might have its own kind of root in something really sort of deep, or like the root of the issue or whatever.
Yeah.
And an active listener will find that and be like, all right, okay, you finished your thought, but can we go back to that thing that you just said, that you just brushed over?
Yeah.
What's that, and what does that mean? Where does that come from? And you really like having another person be that bounce for you, be that, interpreter of your mind vomit
Yeah.
is extremely helpful in that process of processing those the things that are happening in your fucked up crazy mind that you have.
Yeah, definitely. And that is exactly what we have been doing for each other during these LBJ nights. Like we have created, in a sense, like a 3-way therapy session for all of us. And it really works. It really works, and it really helps us to organize our thoughts and kind of realize that, things aren't as bad as they seem.
Yeah, because like you get a different perspective and a different view of things. Like when I was thinking very pessimistically, then you guys would be like, no, wait, like think about it this way. And I'm like, right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
No, it's so good.
that's just simple, but it's like,
Yeah,
it's
pretty much.
It's simple, but it's like you don't think about it. So like,
Yeah.
get stuck in your head a bit.
Definitely. Oh man. Oh, I'm just thinking back to like all those times where like I was like going through like shit, and just you and Liam have always like kind of been there for me and just brought me out of it. Oh, it's so good. I'm so happy with my life right now. Oh man, these are really good vibes. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. But yeah, like yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to do that. And for anyone out there right now who is perhaps feeling a little down or lonely or whatever, I highly recommend that you just go out and reach out to some friends that you trust and create something similar, and create like just this tight-knit group where it's just you and maybe one or two friends, and you guys just kind of talk about whatever's on your mind, and try our best to dig out whatever shit you got in there and just get it out. It's like, what it is? It literally is thought vomit, like just vomit. You know that feeling of like when doing a tack yak, you know. Do you want to explain what a tack yak is?
It's a tactical yak being vomit.
Yeah.
So like you do it like for tactically because it's like you're having a lit night.
Yep.
And you're feeling shit because you need to vomit, but like if like generally people are like, oh, you got to keep it in, don't vomit. But
Yep.
if you the tack yak, it's like vomit so you feel good so you can keep going.
Exactly. But and like when
So you feel better.
and when you're doing the tack yak, the initial like forcing of the tack yak will feel like shit. You are not gonna like that. But then once you're like into it, you're like, that's actually not that bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel a lot better after doing it.
I feel a lot better after doing that. Holy shit. Yeah.
Oh
Pretty
god.
much. And yeah, like just sometimes you got to do a tack yak of the mind. And on your friends for some reason.
When I tack yak, I vomit on my friends.
Oh, maybe the tack yak wasn't the best example to draw from this, but that's essentially what it is. And yeah, you feel a lot better after doing it. And damn, awesome. Is there
I would say like I still sort of get that satisfaction and relief when I tack yak. I mean, like fucking mind vomit on my own sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more stronger when there's people around.
I think
can help you process it.
I think when there's other people around, you gain like a new perspective as well.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not just your own thoughts and your own personal biases, like processing whatever you're going through. It's like there are these other people there that are processing what you're going through, and sure, they have their own mental biases as well, but combined together is a broader perspective than just you as an individual.
Right.
And beyond just that, it's like a lot of people can actually see things about you that you can't see about yourself.
Exactly.
Like, man, we keep referencing the School of Life, but like in like one of the chapters, I remember it said something like, it's crazy how a stranger can learn more about you in the span of 20 seconds of meeting you than you may have in your entire life.
Yeah.
And I found that to be so insightful, even though like it's not necessarily true, but they may pick up things that you may have not picked up on your whole life within 20 seconds of meeting you. You know what I mean?
I'm scared now. Something about me that I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a possibility, but anyways, like, you know, it just shows that like you don't really observe yourself in that situation, like in that third person type of view as someone else may view you. And it's just it's really insightful to hear another person's feedback and perspective, you know. And like I'm the type of person that really enjoys criticism. like when I hear someone like give me criticism, I think, wow, this person actually cared enough about me to tell me where I was fucking up so that I could not do that in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously it took me a long time to get to this point where I love criticism, but it's so useful. Like, because you can, with criticism comes information that you can use to get better at what you do. Right. And when you guys give me advice and things and like how to perhaps improve the way I'm thinking on a specific topic, like I always appreciate that, like 100%. And it's great. It's really good stuff. And sometimes, you know, with your support circles, you need people not just to support you and like and be there to listen to you. Like, of course, that's super important as well. But on top of that, I think it's even more important to have a support circle that simultaneously challenges you and you know, kind of kicks you in the butt when you need to, you know?
Right.
Because that's where growth occurs, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair, dude.
Yeah.
I think I used to have it's still kind of getting over it, but you like have this weird perspective on that. Like, you know, I've talked about it, about criticism.
Yeah.
And I think I made a weird correlation in my head just now about it and to Christianity.
Oh my
Like,
God, of course.
the way you look at it is so great. It's like criticism is just like a means of like, oh yeah, someone cares about you to help you better yourself, and like you can use that to better yourself or whatnot. But I think like when it comes to criticism or like a flaw that I have or the way that I look at it, it comes down to these freaking world-ending things when it comes to Christianity, because like the single flaw, the single black speck on your white thing or whatever it is, that will drag you down to hell, and you will stay there for eternity in eternal damnation and torture. There's like all these, it's like these world-ending, like these stakes.
Yeah.
When in reality, if I think beyond that, it's like you don't have to deal with that. Like, cause like I don't have to.
Okay.
Like, there was always this notion where like there was like this perfect me. There was this idea or this goal or like this aspiration where I had to be this perfect person who couldn't do bad. And I had to always strive towards that. Otherwise, if I didn't constantly strive towards that, then I'm just giving in to sin and being a naughty boy. Go down to hell,
Naughty boy.
Go down to hell, you damn
That's so
sinner,
funny.
man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like constantly striving to that. And when you constantly strive for that, especially for most of your life, then it's like I don't know how you won't feel like I don't know how I didn't feel that I wasn't good enough.
Right.
You know? Like, that's crazy to think about. Going back to the other stuff that I talked about.
Yeah,
before.
yeah. No, I mean, you're insanely talented. Insanely freaking talented, dude. I could not do even like half of the shit that you do. So I mean, like, yeah, that's good. That's good that you had that realization. And
But I'm still working on that, I think.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is doing that. Even me. Sometimes when I get criticism, although I love it so much, there is still that little part of me that is kind of like, like that little part of me that still doesn't love himself. It's just kind of like, you're shit. You know?
Same,
Like,
dude.
you're kind of shit, dude. Like,
You're a shitty person, dude.
but like, it's all a matter of sort of catching yourself when you're in that zone, and then perhaps like venting about it or journaling about it and reflecting on your thoughts, and then being like, okay, is this really a healthy or useful mentality to have right now? You know?
Right.
If I really want to get to where I want to be, like, do I really, like, is this mentality, is this way of thinking really useful to me? And then when it's not, you should probably just ditch it.
Right.
Sounds more, actually, it's a lot more simpler said than done, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much the mentality
I think
behind it.
I think I have an example of that when I like creativity example.
Right.
When we did that documentary. You probably haven't seen it.
Okay.
With this artist guy,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
which I want to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
Like,
It's
like
our podcast.
like probably with Liam or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, because he might not be here for many episodes. But like, it's interesting because it's like sort of advice from my dad or like criticism from my dad. It's when I realized like, oh wait, he's kind of wrong. Because like some things that I like, a lot of things, I think a fair amount I do, like a lot of what my dad says is sort of true in a way, and a lot of criticism are true, and like it could be like it may not apply to me in certain ways because of like the direction I want to go in my life creatively.
Yeah.
But like this specific time I was like, oh wait, that's just bad. That's just not helpful. Like we were doing this documentary, and there was so like we got the tip from our teacher that people have done documentaries on this guy before in this class. So it's like, oh, there was like this pressure to do something original with this documentary, and we had no idea what. What we decided to do was like we sort of went this interesting approach where like which we knew hadn't been done before, this format where he would go back and look at his notebooks over the years and really explore the evolution of his style because he had all these notebooks that he recently like dated and everything and put them in order. So you could really see his evolution in his style.
Okay.
But for me personally, I was more interested, and I think like Liam was sort of as well, but he wanted to keep that aspect of the style and whatnot and the art itself. But I was more excited about and like wanting to explore the deeper sides of him.
Right.
The stories you don't hear. The stories of my life, of his life.
Yeah.
You know, the deeper stuff, the things that affected it, the things that shaped him to be the person he was today. And it was like this really great story that you could feel the weight in the room, like when you recorded it, and I think on screen as well. And you see it on his face that it does affect him still somewhat, even though it was like quite a while ago, quite some time, like in 2007 or 4 or something like that, about one of his mates passing away, and like you can see him like sniff like that, and like you can see him like it was struggling to sort of talk about it in a way. And when we were in the room, we were like when he left, we were like, wow, Liam, that was profound. That was great.
Yeah.
We sort of were excited leaving like, that was great. But I don't want to be glad about someone's misfortune.
Oh, dude. I mean, like when you told us that story about your like stepdad or like your mom's like ex-husband and like how he had a heart attack at Max. I was, dude, Liam and I couldn't help but just fucking like crack up.
Dude, like I was just like, yeah, passed away. And I like couldn't hide the grin, and I just said, "Ad Macca's," and like everyone just laughed.
There's something about it that's kind of funny, except for this. This is just kind of like, this is really depressing.
And so like we just thought we weren't like excited about it. We were just like, this is really great for the documentary, like exploring some really deep sides of him. And like, this is really the direction we wanted to go.
Yeah.
And it's not like we were celebrating a bad thing. We were just celebrating that we, as student filmmakers, really got someone to open up. And I think it was largely due to the fact that we spent a lot of time with him. And there was like 2 hours worth of, or like more, like fucking 5 hours worth of footage there for a 10-minute film. So like we had to cut a lot down, but we got some really good parts. And my dad, and here it comes, right? We had the screening. It was really great. I went home, and that night I showed it to my parents as well. And my dad was like his criticism was like, this is pretty good. Why don't you ask him about how he makes money and stuff? Like, he's this like my dad has this sort of logistics kind of mindset.
Yeah.
He's going
Very
to
Asian.
And not only that, he's going to his midlife crisis thing where he's reading a bunch of books about
self-help.
Not self-help, like
self-help.
getting rich and stuff.
Getting rich.
And like, not get rich quick, but like, you know, like how to manage stuff and like money and all that, and like investing and all that crap, you know, all that crap.
Yeah.
And which I sort of get is sort of, you know, I get it. But it's like, as a person who's creative oriented, it doesn't appeal to me in a way.
Yeah.
But I get where it's coming from. But like, that was really just out of tune of what we were trying to do with that documentary.
Yeah.
His kind of criticism on that. I think for the first time, I was just like, right, I could just not listen to that. That was just bad.
Yeah.
And that was like the most extreme example. But it's like, when we're trying to facilitate and explore really deeper emotional things, my dad's like, no, logistics, all this stuff that is really sort of boring and non-human to me. It's like, it's not like humanistic exploration of these deeper things that really do matter to people deep down.
Yeah.
Like, to me at least. I felt like I loved like all those hours that we spent with him. He was such an interesting person. I wish I could put all the stories in. It was great. But yeah, it was just a very different mindset, me and my dad.
Yeah, true. But like that's why you're so good at what you do, dude. It's because you're looking for the deeper meaning in all these things. And you put that on film and it works, you know? And I mean, that's what we're doing right now, right? With this podcast, we're exploring our pretty much like our deepest selves and just putting it out there for the world to see
In like a couple months' time.
in a couple months' time.
Or like a month's time for the first episode.
Yeah. And no, it's awesome. I love it. And with that, I think that's a good place to end it. We're at an hour and 6 minutes in. So
all right, you know what? That was a good episode right there.
That was a great.
This is the last episode for today.
Yeah.
So we're gonna come back in the morning, and I think it's gonna be at my house.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we'll come back to you tomorrow, next week, and the following weeks, the fucking whole year, and the next couple episodes.
Yep.
We're gonna have guests this time. Is that crazy?
Oh my god!
You're not gonna just see our dumb faces. I think Liam will be back.
Who knows? Oh, probably. Yeah. And then he'll have to leave, and then we have no idea whether Liam is gonna be on this or not. Like at
is he not gonna be at the first episodes and then come after his appointment?
No idea, dude.
Fuck it. Don't talk about it.
Let's not talk about it.
It's not for the podcast.
It's not for the podcast.
Thank you for listening to this podcast.
Thank you so
really
much.
Appreciate you listening and not mad dog, not mad dogging us and thinking we're lame for being emotional on podcasts.
Or it's gonna be kind of funny if you do.
They're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
They're gonna do. When I told them,
dude, look at these soy boys.
When you tell
talking about emotions,
I don't know why I told the internet not to do something, because they're gonna do it.
Dude, I'm waiting for it. Light them up, boys. Bring on the pain. Let's go.
Whoa, hold up. It's future Jason here, who is editing this and noticed there was never a proper outro call to action at the end of these things. So here goes. Please, if you want to support the show, follow us on whatever podcasting app you use and give us a good rating. If you're watching the videos on YouTube, like and subscribe. Also, share this with your friends too. Doing any of these things would help us out a lot. Thanks. I'll let these guys handle the rest. All right, so we'll see you next week, or for us, tomorrow morning.
All right, let's do it. I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much.